enough becomes your truth, it's a sign that your healing has started. Because there comes a moment in our life when endurance loses its virtue and silence no longer feels noble at all. That moment is when enough is actually enough. It does not arrive with noise or drama. It arrives quietly. Most times, often after long seasons of pain, of tolerating abuse, of tolerating pain, explaining yourself away, and shrinking your needs to keep the peace. Enough is not anger, no, it is not. And it is not bitterness. Enough is just clarity. Just simply clarity. When enough becomes enough, your truth finally stands up for you.
Hello. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I want to say a big Happy New Year to every one of us in this platform. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to 2026. As an initiative, it's our year centered on healing. And as we go into the year, we'll be looking at various, topics, discussions that helps our healing. This is the Young Women and Wives with Burdens and Blessings discussion platform. The initiative centered around the wholeness of the woman. We are here to ensure that you as a woman is whole as a being. We are here to ensure that you never have any reason or any cause to lose your wholeness. How are you doing? How did your holiday go? Mine was awesome. My holiday was very relaxing. Welcome to an amazing year. 2025 was huge for us on this platform. And today, we're setting off by setting our intentions for this year. And we're looking at what wholeness, what personal wholeness means to you. What is personal wholeness? Today happens to be our first day on this discussion platform, and I want to welcome everyone joining us. Olabisi Rachel, thank you so much, ma. Welcome to tonight's discussion. So we talk about wholeness, and you wonder what wholeness really means. As we go into the year 2026, it is very important that we do not just continue to create, to-dos. Oh, this is what I would do. This is my to-do list. This is what I'm going to do. However, that we, in the one that we have, set a healthy year. Plan a healthy year for ourselves. So I'll ask you a question. What does personal wholeness mean to you? Please drop your thoughts in the comment section. For me, personal wholeness means that I am well aligned with my values, with my heart, with my thoughts, with my health, and everything well aligned, without any stress, without any confusion, without any pain. What about you? What does personal wholeness mean? And tonight, we're going to be looking at 5 major, perspectives when we talk about personal wholeness. The first one we're going to be looking at is what? When you're setting intention, we're talking about, personal wholeness as alignment and not perfection. So the first perspective or area we're going to be looking at is personal wholeness as alignment and not perfection. Yes, you went through 2025 and it was all about, oh, what you did not do right, or what I should have done, the thing I should have made, and all that. But in 2026, we are moving towards what? Alignment. We are looking at our wholeness as it regards alignment and not perfection. So, dear ma, dear sister, dear girl, in 2026, your personal wholeness should be about alignment and not about perfection. So let's look at something. I said many people today, they delay wholeness because they believe they must first fix everything. They believe that if they don't fix everything, they want to fix every area of their life and everything perfect. So they delay their wholeness. But the truthful thing about wholeness is that it begins when your inner values and your outward actions are in sync. They are aligned. When your inner values and your outward actions are aligned. Even though they are aligned, and also at the same time they are aligned, and growth is also happening as they are aligned. I said, many people delay wholeness because they believe they must first fix everything. But true wholeness begins when your inner values and outward actions are aligned, even while growth is still ongoing. Now let's reflect on this. You look at yourself. You ask yourself, where in my life do my actions no longer affect my values? Where in your life do your actions no longer affect your values? What is it and how does personal wholeness look like to you? So when personal wholeness is no longer about perfection, but about alignment, aligning with your values, when your innermost being align and your actions align together, then you are on a personal wholeness journey. Yes, it is a journey. It is not a destination. Because anything that has a destination has the tendency to put pressure on you, has the tendency to expect so much from you. And with so much expectation, you begin to lose direction. You begin to lose yourself. You begin to lose your health. But when you are aligned, when it is all about being aligned, you move through it with ease. Now, ease now not meaning ease as in you are not playing your part, but ease meaning that everything begins to fall into place because you are taking action towards personal wholeness. Now, the areas that you are looking at your life and you are like, okay, what areas, where in my life, you're asking yourself questions. Where in my life, these are reflective questions. Where in my life do my actions no longer reflect my values? Where? Which aspect of my life do my actions no longer reflect my values? Then, what would alignment look like for me this year? When you're talking about alignment, what would alignment look like for you this year? Take a deep thought. Reflect today and ask yourself, what does personal wholeness look like for me? So for you, just know that personal wholeness must never be about what you can do perfect, but that you are aligned, both your innermost being and your actions are aligned. And then I ask you again, when we also look at, we say personal wholeness as emotional honesty. So when we are talking about personal wholeness, we are looking at it from that you are emotionally honest with yourself about the state of your being, the state of your emotion. A lot of times we start the year with, plans on how we want to make more money, how we want to, do better at our jobs, how we want to have acquire more properties, and how we want to, do so many things. But then we give our wholeness, our health, our being the last seat, forgetting that a whole and a healthy body or a healthy life would easily get those other things that we have put before a healthy life, a whole life. So your personal wholeness, number one, I said, is never about perfection. It is about what? Alignment. Your values and your internal being, your state of mind, do they align? Your actions, do they align together? And then your personal wholeness as what? Emotional honesty. A lot of women don't really tell themselves the truth. A lot of people even don't tell themselves the truth. They don't sit down to look at their state of, being and reflect on what needs to be done or what actions that they need to take to bring themselves to that place of wholeness. I said here in what I wrote down, I said, wholeness begins when a person allows themselves to acknowledge that they truly feel, that they truly feel, and then they without shame. That you feel, that that you have that feeling. You understand? That you don't have, that you truly have that feeling. Your emotion, is you have that feeling, and you acknowledge that without shame, without denial. And I said, and also without comparison. It is the courage to do what? To name pain, joy, disappointment, hope, and desire, and to give each emotion the right to what? To be expressed and not suppressed. A lot of the time, you find out that people get told that whatever it is that is happening to them is not new to them. So, gradually, you find out that someone who has over the time and over a lot of time heard that whatever it is that she is going through or that he is going through is not new to you, is not only happening to only you, gradually begin to suppress the emotion. They begin to be confused on what to really do. They begin to see themselves as, sometimes for some women, they begin to see themselves as, am I not being too emotional? So, and then even as much as, your emotion, can go haywire, but that does not permit that you suppress it. For your wholeness to be well aligned in this year 2026, for you to be able to access healing, healthy, wholesome healing in this year 2026, it is very important that you come, to a place of emotional honesty about your state of being, about the things that, that make you happy, about the things about the pains, about the joy, about the disappointment. Because when you are able to have, given time to consider and think and ponder about those things, they no longer would have the power to hold you, and will no longer become a point of reference where you have to say, oh, how I wish. Rather, it becomes, an avenue of how we're pouring out. I told someone that, I told someone that I could not repeat a particular scenario again. And, She said, no, you can repeat it. I said, I know what I'm saying. I said, because when I was doing this particular thing that we're talking about, I told her, I said, when I was the best, I said, it was like a therapeutic session for me. I really poured out my heart. So that even if I'm going to have to repeat it again, it's not going to be the same thing. And I told her, I said, while I was pouring out my heart, I said, I gained healing. I felt that burden, that pain that I had carried over the years, you understand, leave. And it was leave. And how did I know that burden, that pain left? Because subsequent months that followed, I no longer, when the thought of that pain and body comes to mind, I no longer feel this deep-rooted pain and tears that I shared before concerning it. So in this year 2026, you need to look at your personal wholeness as well, from the point of what emotional honesty. You need to come out and be honest with yourself about your wholeness. You need to come out and be honest with yourself about your wholeness. And if you're not honest with yourself, you're going to find out that at the end of the day, you will just go through 2026. You just go to 2026 and then you have not achieved that wholeness, which is very, very needed and important. Which is very, very needed and important. That is one of the things that we must look at today. Excuse me. Yeah. Thank you so much. And then another perspective we want to also look at wholeness. Personal wholeness as well as healthy boundaries. But before I go to that, I want to read one other thing. I want to read another point thing I want to ask us concerning personal wholeness and emotional honesty. There are some reflective questions I have here. I said, unacknowledged emotions do not disappear. That's what I wrote down here. They simply shape our discussions quietly. They shape our decisions quietly. But wholeness grows when we allow ourselves to feel without judgment, without judging yourself. Wholeness grows when you allow yourself to feel, you allow yourself to cry. There's this thing there that we are told that men don't cry. But really, there is a place where accumulated pain, accumulated, tears, that has been locked in, there's a place, a place to pour it out. There's a time you get to that you have to come, in achieving your personal wholeness, you have to come to that place where you are emotionally honest with yourself and you let it out. Now, personal wholeness, another perspective we are looking at personal wholeness this year, for you in this year 2026, is personal wholeness from what? From what? Setting boundaries. I want to put it here. So you want to ask yourself, when was the last time I allowed myself to feel without explaining or justifying it? When? Last year, 2025, I went through a phase that was so draining emotionally, because it got to a time I told myself, I said, I think I'll keep repeating myself, because where I was looking for help, I found out that really the help that I sought with people all the while lies in me, myself, sitting down and asking myself very reflective questions. Questions and then being honest with myself through the responses that I give. So one of the questions I asked myself was, what emotions have I been? What are the when I came out with myself in terms of emotionally being honest with myself? What are the emotions that I have suppressed? The emotions I have avoided, or the ones that I have been minimizing, in the sense that you are make them look to you they are small. And as a woman, as a young person, as a woman, as an individual, as a wife, a lot of us are carrying pain, emotional pain from, being the only one that people come to, being the one that is more like a shoulder for everyone. And for so many years, I asked myself, who is coming to save me if all I am meant to do, just so that I can prove that I'm a woman worthy to be said to be a good individual, a good wife, and a good mother, a good sister, that I must be available for everyone. But I looked front, back, left, right, and center. There's no one there for me. So at the beginning, it felt, I felt strong, because I gloried in the fact that I was an answer to everyone, that I could provide answer for every problem, that I could help my family, I could help my children, I could help my spouse, I could help my sibling. But what happened was that as years rolled into years, I began to feel the burden heavy. And I didn't have someone to reach out to, because everyone believed that I am strong, I am capable. So as a woman in this year 2026, your personal wholeness should be top on the list of your goals this year. So you ask yourself again, when was the last time I allowed myself to feel without complaining or justifying? As a woman, when I don't know if you people feel it, but that's how I feel. I am in pain, going through something, and I call on someone, and I share that thing with, sometimes I'm not actually sharing with you because I want you to advise me or counsel me. I just probably called you because there's nowhere for me to pour out my pain. And then, after sharing, or while I'm sharing, you keep telling me why I should be grateful that my life is even better than other people's own. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I should not be grateful. But at that point, at that moment, I just need a place to call peace. So for so many years, women sacrifice wholeness. They sacrifice their health. They sacrifice their completeness, their wholeness, so that they can be there for everyone. But there's, like the saying goes, there's no vacuum in nature. No vacuum in nature. You were not created to be a god to anyone. You were created to what? to be a help. And that help does not mean that you are created to be the one to carry everybody while no one carries you. So what is emotion? What in your life is asking for attention right now? What is that emotion that's asking for attention right now? Because in this year 2026, you will have to be intentional about your personal wholeness. You will have to be intentional about your wholeness. And you know what? You cannot heal what you refuse to give a name. Are you training? Another perspective that we are looking at personal wholeness is personal wholeness as healthy boundaries. Because this year, you are going to create healthy boundaries. Yes. Because this year, 2026, you, dear woman, you are going to create healthy boundaries. You are going to intentionally create healthy boundaries. And I'm not saying that you should build walls, because boundaries are not walls. No, I'm not asking you to build walls, Jericho-like walls. Even Jericho-like walls was broken down. I'm not asking you to create, walls, or to build walls, iron walls or whatever walls, walls made from whatever material. No, I'm not asking you to build walls. Because boundaries, healthy boundaries are not walls. They are not. They are clarity. A whole person understands her limits. You know your limits. For somebody who is whole, you understand your limits and you honor them without guilt. So this year, 2026, dear woman, you are going to honor boundaries. And you're going to do it without feeling guilty. So wherever boundaries need to be, you're going to take this other perspective of how your wholeness should look like in 2026. And that is what that personal wholeness means what? Setting healthy boundaries. And then let me, in this question, look at the reflective questions you ask yourself. Who is it that benefits when I ignore to set boundaries? Who is it that benefits? Check, look at your life. Who is it that benefits when I ignore my boundaries? Who? Who benefits when I refuse to set healthy boundaries? Check. And then you ask yourself again, where do I feel resentful, overextended, or emotionally exhausted? Because, the thing is that nature has a way of asking you for what it needs to be given. So you refuse to work and fight and work and fight for wholeness for yourself as a person. You might refuse to do that and you might continue to overlook it. But nature will take its toll. And then it gets to a particular point. You start to become resentful of the people who you feel that, you're supposed to be there for them. You're supposed to be this. And this wholeness transcends not just your personal relationship, but even to work relationship. You will have to be intentional about wholeness and set healthy boundaries, or else you will become resentful, and you would have overextended yourself, and before you know it, emotional exhaustion is inevitable. And then I want to also ask you, that you need to ask yourself, what personal boundaries will protect your peace this year, 2026? See, don't let anyone, anything make you feel guilty for desiring to be whole, for desiring to be whole in this year, 2026. So ask yourself, what boundaries will work for my peace this year, 2026? And you know, what I would suggest to you is this. Sit down. Write down everything that burdens you. That you know, because you have assessed emotional honesty. You're emotionally honest with yourself in this, at the juncture where you take a notepad and a pen and you want to write down the things that have stolen your peace in the past. Thank goodness the year is pretty young, but the year is running. Just like yesterday we said, Happy New Year, welcome to 2026, but we're now in the 10th day of it. And this year, 2026, you must complain less. You must ensure to not drain yourself with unnecessary reactions and work by setting boundaries, healthy one. And don't forget, we said, setting boundaries does not mean you are building a wall. You're just letting everyone in your life, both work life, relationship, everyone know that your personal wholeness is not a debatable choice or decision for you this year. So that is one thing we must look at. And then you're not asking yourself, now let's look at something. I hope you know that to be made whole, or to actually have a healthy personal wholeness, you need to have what we call self-respect. To be able to desire and call for what you want shows that you have what? Self-respect. And we're not saying keep malice, fight, build walls, be difficult. No, we're saying choose yourself. And choosing yourself is not selfish. But if in a situation that you are, you know what the situation around you is. If it requires that you choose yourself and people are saying you are selfish, choose yourself first. Choose yourself first. And another thing is that we look at personal wholeness as what? Healing that part of you. Healing yourself. So personal wholeness is also what? Healing yourself. So I said here, I noticed something. I said personal wholeness as healing unfinished parts of yourself. Healing unfinished parts of yourself. Many people are functional, but they are fragmented. You see, your wholeness involves tending to the parts of you that were silenced, rushed, or wounded. That's what I want to hear. And I'm able to say this because I had that experience. When, for many years, writing the autobiography of my mom, had been what has been on my, to my top list. But I because I did not bring myself to that place of emotional honesty, I kept, overlooking, I kept giving excuses for hurts, that was coming my way, and for the ones that I was even putting myself in without knowing, and the ones that I did not set boundary for. I kept putting myself in it. So I found out, and then it became accumulated, and I found out that I got to my elastic limits the year 2025. And what happened was that I decided to be deliberate about me. So, dear woman, in this year 2026, you have to be deliberate about you. And when you're talking about personal wholeness, like I said, being able to do what? To heal. To see wholeness as healing that unfinished parts of you, of self, yourself. Because really, sincerely, many of us are just functioning, but we are fragmented. We are fragmented. We're just living by the day. Yet carrying so much hurt. Someone will say, oh, let's just, go through the year, Jerry, and sorry, I'm using that trying to say, let's just go through the year and then let's see how everything falls into whatever it is that comes will come. But really, a healed and whole individual would go through life without competition, without fear, without pain, without comparison, without everything you can ever imagine that is healthy. I said here, wholeness involves tending to the parts of you that were silenced, rushed, or wounded. I gave an example earlier how, you as a person going through challenge and then you share with someone and then, someone comes and says, oh, you're not the only one going through it. Do you know what happens to you at that moment? You just keep quiet. You will keep quiet immediately. And you will not say. And, it begins to accumulate. You find out that the more you want to share with, because you are about, your heart is almost exploding. You find out that people just make it looking significant. So that part of you that has been silenced, crushed, or wounded, oh God, because a lot of people are carrying so much wound. And you see, a lot of people are carrying so much wound. Me, myself, not exempted. Yeah, we are, because of faith, religion, a lot of people have covered, and have lived and covered their pains, have lived in denial of their pain. And a pain that you live in denial of, where will you find and how will you find help? What happens is that pain will amplify. That pain will continue to grow and will continue to birth babies. Okay. Olabisi said, for people who cannot set healthy boundaries, how can one start doing it? Okay. Thank you so much, my Olabisi Rachel. For people who cannot set healthy boundaries, how can you start doing it? One thing I will say is that, for one thing you must realize is that the day you decide to start setting boundaries, be ready to be given names or called names. Be ready to what? To receive opposition. Because anyone who in their own mind is not using you or taking advantage of you, anyone who feels that they are not taking advantage of you or using you, you understand, should not be afraid of what makes you happy. So setting healthy boundaries means you yourself know who you are. Self-awareness is very key in setting boundaries. Who are you? What are your values? What are the things that triggers you? What are the things that you would accept? Or you would rather allow people just come and dump whatever it is on you? And the thing is that setting healthy boundaries even has to do even with from home, work, anywhere. So setting healthy boundaries starts with what? Self-awareness and doing what? Knowing what your values and this are. And let me say something. When you start to, put boundaries, set healthy boundaries, people will start taking you serious. So know yourself, know your values, and then learn emotional intelligence. And how will I say that? If someone oversteps or tries to, harm you or do something or talk to you anyhow or do something anyhow, if you respond to them with, for example, now someone tried to insult you and you tell the person, oh, I don't like that, don't try that with me, don't like that. That's reaction. You're not setting boundaries, you are reacting. And in every reaction, is a sign of a weak person. So in your reaction, when you react, you have given that person strength. That person has control over your emotion. That person has control over who you are. Okay, let me give you an example of something that happened. At my place of work, I got moved to a different class. And when I got to that class, the first day I get to the class, and the class was closing for the day, my class teacher, the new class that asked me, told me, Rosemary, pick the broom and sweep. And this is a class of children within the age of 8 years, 9 years. I said, Rosemary, pick the broom and sweep. And I am an assistant teacher, what we call educational assistant here. She said I should pick the broom and sweep. Now, the Rosemary of before would have, on the spot, what, but I realized that I needed to set this boundary, because she knows that my job description does not fall under that, because there are cleaners in the school. It's there are cleaners employed to clean. Mine is what to assist with classwork, the students with classwork, class activities. So I felt that she was testing my resolve. So, but what did I do? You understand? What I did was this. I took the broom and I swept the class that day. Hold on. And I swept the class that day. So now, why I did that was that I was waiting until we close so that I can ask a colleague who was in that class before, if she sweeps. Even though my job description does not say I should sweep. So when we close, I met with my colleague and I said, please, do you sweep? I said, no. I said, okay, thank you. She said, well, I said, because the teacher asked me to pick up broom and sweep the class. I would have said, oh, she's being racist because she saw that I'm a black person. I didn't want to give room for such thoughts because I might just be over assuming and over concluding. So what did I do? The next morning, I went to her. I said, dear madam, please, can you give me the time that you would like, the class swept? And then I will create schedule for the students to sweep, just keep the class a little bit clean and everything. And she said, no, no, no. She has her student that she has 2 students for the week. So I told her, I said, these students within the age range that they cannot really be cleaning every day. Now I'm trying to give you this story now. She said, no, that's the way she wants it. I said, okay, thank you. However, let me bring it to your notice. Go, please kindly ask the teacher that I was in her class before if she asked me to sweep, if I sweep. Because in the employment letter I was given, nowhere was my job description given as what? As a cleaner. That my job description is what? Educational assistant. So please, don't ask me to sweep another time. Thank you. However, if you give me the opportunity, I would help, always make sure that the children, sweep and does that after. And I left her. And I've been in that class, this new class now since almost like, let's say, a month plus, 2 months now. That singular action that I took, which is not the Rosemary of before, which I have been in it before, I used to be a very reactive person, which is not the Rosemary of before. But by that singular action that I took, you can see that I set boundaries, but set it without reacting. So, and I did not build walls. I was intentional not to build walls. And I did not, start to look out for her, to see whether she's going to do this. Now, what I now observe is this from this man. So, my message was very clear to her. And the way I handled it, you understand what I mean now? So, afterwards, anytime she wants to do anything, and she maybe needs me to do it, she'll say, Rosemary, please, are you able to do this? Rosemary, please, can you help me do this? Or she will say, Rosemary, please help me watch the students. I want to go and make this photocopy. Rosemary, help me watch the students. Please, I want to paste this thing. I'll tell her, I'll do that. Now, so even when I do those things for her, boundaries have been created. But I did not build walls because, we need to stay in that class. If I had been reactive and I expressed and everything, I've been assigned to her class for the rest of the school year. So am I going to be working in a tension-laden listen? Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you can have people very impossible and difficult. I also had someone who was impossible and difficult last year. So what I did was what? I went and reported her to our supervisor. And when I was going to report her, I did not go to complain and they'll be bitter. No. I just said, please, I am working here professionally. I plead with you to tell this my colleague that I am not on a personal level, but that I'm here to do my work. And that I will want to be treated professionally, addressed professionally, and all that. So these are, this was the way I was able to set boundaries. But I did not get there one day. I also had to learn because for the sake of my own personal wholeness. So this, I hope, or Labisi Rachel, that this example about how to set healthy boundary is actually helpful to you. So that is one of the, so we talk about what personal wholeness or as healing unfinished parts of self. So now I have some reflection questions here. I said, which version of myself feels unheard or abandoned? Now for you as a woman, I don't know. Well, I speak from I've only been married once, but there are things that you might have been telling your spouse 15 years, 20 years, 10 years. I know nothing is changing. And I came to realize one thing. You understand now? That the reactive, when you react, no, I'm saying this, and most times, those of us who are, people of faith, let me say Christians, for example, we use more of doctrinal teachings than biblical teachings. So we feel that a woman should be quiet and not heard. It is not biblical. It is not biblical. Because there were women who were judges. Deborah was a judge. So, however, you should set. You'll be able to ask. Which areas of your life have you been shut down? Do you feel unheard? You need to attend to it. You need to call the person now, and then when you now find out that this person is not willing to change, what the next thing to do is you change yourself. And what do I mean? How do you change yourself? You stop reacting. The person will just notice that. We say, think, he has changed. See, let me tell you something. If you stop reacting to something someone is doing, and the person, initially will be, thank God, this person is no longer, the person is this is okay, the person is okay. The same person will, from excitement that you no longer react. Because really, especially narcissistic people, they feed on your reactions. They will find, before you know it, they begin to do what? They begin to get irritated by even your non-reaction. But you have to keep, applying emotional intelligence and not react. Mel Robbins, she's a very well-known podcaster and, author. She says, let them. That's her book. Let them. Because really, we are not created to change people. At least you as a human being, you are not created to change anyone. No way. It is not your duty. It is not your function. You are not created to change anyone. You are not. So in this year 2026, your personal wholeness is very, very important. So you ask yourself, what past experience still influences how I show up today? For me, last year, when I talk about some past experience, I would just be crying. And then I was saying, I kept making reference. Oh my God. I'll just make reference over there. So I found out that, see, this past experience is still hurting me. And this person has not changed, or these people have not changed. So this is a place of reflective question when you're asking yourself. You're asking yourself because personal wholeness is seen as healing parts of self. When you're healing part of self, so you're going to ask yourself, what past experience still influences how I show up today? And then you look at it. This part that influences how I show up today, what does it really need now? What does it need? What does this part need? And then we have the fifth one. Don't forget, when we started, I said we're going to be looking at personal wholeness from 5 perspectives. The first one is personal wholeness as what? As alignment and not perfection. We spoke extensively on that. We looked at that and they said personal wholeness as what? Emotional honesty. That was the second one. And then we looked at personal wholeness as healthy boundaries. And then we looked at the fourth one, personal wholeness as healing unfinished parts of self, of you. And then the fifth one, personal wholeness as intentional living. Yeah. Personal wholeness as intentional living. And there's something I wrote down here, said, without intention, life becomes reactive. Don't forget, we'll be talking about reaction. Without intention, life becomes reactive. So in this year 2026, you are going to take your personal wholeness from the perspective of what? Intentional living. Because without intention, life becomes reactive. And I said, setting intention for the year is deciding how you want to live feel, and respond regardless of circumstances. So I said to us that this year 2026, as an initiative, everything we'll be discussing will be centered on healing. Because a healed person is a whole person. So when you set the intention for the year, you are deciding how you want to live. You are deciding how you want to feel. You are deciding how you want to respond regardless of the circumstance. So you want to ask yourself these questions. At the end of this year, how do you want to feel? At the end of this year, how do you want to feel? And when you look at that, you have been able to define how you want to feel, how you want to feel, and how what personal wholeness would mean to you in this year, 2026, at the end of this year, 31st of December 2026. How do you want to feel? How would your personal wholeness journey would have gone? How far would you have gone in this? And then what habits, what actions, what things do you need to do? Are needed to support this person, this personal whole person that you are becoming? Because like I noted earlier, personal wholeness is not a destination. No, it is a journey. So you have decided to take this journey in the year 2026. So at the end of 2026, how do you want to feel? Then what habits will support this person that you are becoming? And I said, what must I release to live more intentionally? What must you release to live more intentionally? Okay, Y.W.W.B said, hope you know that reflecting on past experience can bring in depression if not careful. So my question, how far can you go in reflecting on your past experience? Okay, thank you so much. Now, yes, I agree that reflecting on past experience can make you, depressed or miserable or sad, depending on what it is that has happened. But I have come to observe, I've come to find out, to see by experience that sometimes you need to visit the past for the present and the future to be actualizable. Now, when you visit the past, you are not supposed to visit the past from the place of reaction, from the place of accusation, from the place of judgment. Now, don't get me wrong. If it is in a relationship issue, the person might have hurt you. And see, even when you look at it, it's not that you are making yourself look good now. You know that you did not hurt this person or these people. That the person or the people hurt you. But you will now have to now tell yourself that it is what you decide to make of that situation afterwards that matters. So you ask yourself, what do I need to do for me going through to where I am going? That is in the past. I will leave it. See, most times in healing or being whole from our past, it is not very easy for us, because there's a possibility that we might still be living with the people who hurt us, or we see them every day, or there's something that they have with us that reminds us of them. So when we see those things or the things or see them every day, we know we hurt. And then especially the one that is even much more even painful is that when this person has refused to change, So I said something earlier. And this thing I'm saying here is what I had to tell myself as the year was running to an end. I had to tell myself what is it that is actually bringing up, bitterness and depression anytime I go back to the past. Can I change the past? No. It has happened. So I said to myself, I said, I cannot change the past. I was telling so I said, oh, I needed my lawyer to fix something. I said, please, I don't want to go into 2026 with this thing. This person has really hurt me. I don't want to go into 2026 with it. I said, however, I went on a personal, emotional detailing and talking to myself. And I made myself realize that, see, my body has recorded the scores. That is why even after many years, it still hurts. So I acknowledge and accept that the past have become scars. So what do I need to do? I needed to now decide on how I can soar with my scars and in my scars. So I just want to encourage you, to please not neglect the past. Because for you to have come to the point where you feel that, no, you really need healing and you need wholeness, it's because what happened in the past happened. Because if what happened in the past didn't happen, you will not be able to come to the realization that you need to offload some things and let some things go, or set healthy boundaries. So create new experience. The past experience has come. It's in the past. It will always be remembered because your body records the scars, the pain. But outdo it with the remembrance by creating new experience. Experience that overshadows the past experience. Thank you so much. I hope I am able to, contribute that much. And then here, there's a key thing. I said, wholeness grows through daily choices, not grand declarations. So like I said daily, by creating new experience. So intentionally we'll create new experience. Create new experience. Create new experience. Now, there's something that I used to do before when if someone, does anything to me and I feel I would outrightly tell you, talk to you, tell you everything, how you offended me, how you did all that. But I just found out that sometimes what people don't, I just found out that I gave out my strength too early. So what I now do, what I started doing, which I started doing last year, is to replay this to myself. What happened, what the person did to me, replay it, and then as I experience it. And another thing also is to put myself in the person's shoe and make that complaint, and just assume what the person's reaction will be as somebody who feels that they are right. And then so when I replay that and I see the specific reaction of person who feels that they are right, with whatever it is that I do to you. So what I do I decide to do to ask myself, so what other alternative would help me, not become reactive or harbor wound or hurt concerning the situation. So I do deep reflective time and I take that advantage. I want to say a big thank you to you, and to you for joining us in our discussion program, the first time in the year 2026. See, don't go anywhere in this year 2026 on this platform, the Y.W.W.B Initiative Discussion Platform, healing is here. We'll be talking on so many topics, because this year our healing is not negotiable. So I want to end this podcast by asking you, what does personal wholeness look like for you in the year 2026? Until we come your way next week, Saturday, I say stay blessed and have a healing, therapeutic, and helpful 2026. Bye.